Welcome to another episode of Live Partner TV. I'm your host, Mario Torres Leon, and today I'm super excited about the show that we have today and the topic because this is something that has been coming up quite a bit in our community, especially as we have been going through some of the more recent programs, particularly the 28-day gratitude launchpad. And today's subject is about the aspect of being private versus hiding. And this is something that the two things are actually not the same. And in my experience, after so many years of coaching and having our programs and seeing the different degrees of transformation and the things that happen inside of the community, it is actually not the same thing. Somebody who's being private, who may not be necessarily sharing or not really opening up about an experience, is not the same thing as being private. And in fact, this is something that has come up over and over again. And I said, this is something that we really have to touch on because one of the biggest breakthroughs that I have seen when people are going into these spaces of wanting to create something completely new in their experience, whether it's within themselves or in a relationship, whether it's in business life, in family life, is the aspect of allowing yourself to be seen by others. And one of the things that I have seen, particularly in our community, where we have programs where people are sharing about their experiences, what is it that is coming up for them, and so on as they go through those particular journeys, is this aspect of, I am such a private person that I'm going to choose not to really talk about what's happening for me. Meanwhile, there's a lot of things that are happening inside of the person that, as we have learned through the journey of presenting these programs and supporting people to go beyond what is it that they're experiencing within them, then they start to realize that there was so much in there, so much pent up that needed to be released, that needed to be showcased, that needed to be shown to the world. And this is one of the things that I've said to my community. Well, we have to create a distinction, right? If there are feelings, if there are situations that you're experiencing that simply you're not feeling right about, the typical tendency that we will have is that we are not going to let anybody see that. And when we do that and we close up all the different possibilities of what's possible for us to experience, we deprive ourselves from them, we take them away. And one of the exercises that I like to do in my community for people that, let's say, they're experiencing that, or maybe they're just not used to the idea of having others experience them to such degree of openness and expansion, is I tell them, okay, go ahead and take your right hand and lift your hand up in the air and go from here to having an open palm, and now essentially close it up and you have a fist. Well, if you really just feel that for a moment and you feel your hand, let's say you may actually want to close your eyes and feel this for a second, you're going to really tune in and realize that there is a lot of effort that is going into keeping everything together, everything closed. You can possibly even feel your skin kind of like wrinkling as you're tightening things in there. And then the other piece of this exercise is, if I were to say, try to get something inside of your fist, it's going to take a lot of effort to kind of like dig in there to see what kind of little crevice, what kind of little hole you can find in there. Now, on the other hand, let's do something completely different. And as you have your awareness in your fist and how things are feeling in your hand, I want you to start now opening it up slowly. And I want that process to be slow because I want you to feel everything that is in your hand. What's your skin feeling like in that moment as you're doing this? How are the muscles feeling? How are the fingers, the joints feeling? It takes a little bit of effort to kind of unleash everything, to open up everything again. And by the time they're fully done with doing that, and we have our palm, right, we have all this space that can actually be open to receiving, to putting things on top of that. It creates a whole different experience of just, the openness versus the closure. And this is exactly what happens. You see, privacy should not be the same thing as, closing down. It's not the same thing as somebody, for example, being an introvert, right? They just have the tendency of kind of being more to themselves and so on. That's different. When there are situations in your life and you perhaps feel that there's nowhere to go with them, or perhaps there's a sense of embarrassment or shame or so on with that, the tendency that we will have is to actually just kind of completely go into a hiding sort of state, going away and people not seeing us. And perhaps this may bring some memories to you as you think about perhaps a dear friend or close friends that have gone through tough experiences, and suddenly people say the expression, well, that person fell off the face of the earth. And this is kind of what happens when we go into those spaces within us that are really challenging. We tend to fall off, we tend to hide away, we tend to simply close down, and so on. And one of the things that we work very diligently and intentionally here in the Alive Partner community is, how do I tap into those feelings of closure and creating awareness of where am I going to, where am I disappearing to from the world? How do I leverage having that awareness to be able to go into those places within me so that I can actually open up and receive and create a very different experience as you're navigating through that? After 30 years of being in medicine as a medical doctor, as a physician, I have seen many things that happen when it comes to health. And one of the states that can create a tremendous degree of disease in our systems, in our bodies, is this aspect of closure, not the aspect of privacy, the aspect of not being able to resource ourselves to actually to open up, allow these emotions that we're having, perhaps because of a state of our lives that we're going through. Maybe something really shook us up emotionally, or perhaps there's a physical illness. Maybe you're going through cancer or something like that, and your physical body is being severely impacted by that, and your emotional state is also impacted by that. And the question that I have for you today is, who would you like to choose to be in those moments? Would you choose to be somebody who consciously, actively, intentionally wants to open despite the significance, the challenging nature of whatever is being experienced at that moment? Or consciously continue to support, I'm just going to close down and prevent anything to come into my life and support me in this moment? And this is one of the things that has become really evident to many of my community members as we go through the 28-day gratitude launchpad. You see, one of the things that we do in the launchpad, which is remarkable, is we have this concept of the video shares. So every single day, I put out to my community a reflection about the particular practice of that day as we're doing the launchpad. And within that, I put what I call quick bites, which is the same thing as small invites or small invitations. And some of those, depending on the particular practice of that day that I put out, I invite people in the community to create a small video about the particular practice of that day and how that experience was for them. But what I have seen is that for the most part, many people feel intimidated. Some people are shy. Some people are simply afraid of just turning on the camera and doing this, just like I'm speaking here with you and having a conversation with another human being. But as time goes on and people start to see the impact of actually just opening that up, putting the camera in front of you, or maybe the computer, and just going through those motions and seeing myself in front of the camera, opening about what's coming up, a really significant and powerful snowball effect starts to happen that unleashes the people that are doing this. And it's amazing how we see over the course of just, the 28 days, how somebody that might have been completely reluctant to turn on the camera and just say something and share with the community what is it that, was a particular thing of that day. As the days go on and time progresses, how much there is release and unleashing, to the point of people having years of therapy that didn't do much for them and saying, this completely changed my life. As much as I would like to say, this is in part because of the program itself, well, the truth of the matter is the power to actually create that change and create a very different experience of health and of well-being was emanating, and it came through from the inside of that person as they decided to take a different approach. So my question for you today is, if things are not working for you, whether it's in your health, in your relationship, which is one of the topics that we discuss a lot and support people here in the Alive Partner community, if things are not really jiving, things are not working out the way you would like them to, and you have been repeatedly doing the same things, and the same results are really coming back your way, which is not what you want, then the question is, would you be open to considering a different approach? And perhaps that different approach today is that rather than being private, really starting to open up and letting others see you. When this happens, as I have seen over and over again for 3 decades now, different resources start to flourish and surface. Different people come into your life with different things to serve you, different tools, different experiences that completely change the trajectory of what you have been experiencing up to that point. And this is exactly what happens. So if you find yourself in that situation, ask yourself, do I want to have a different experience of this particular situation that happens all the time? For example, let's say that you're running into a situation with your partner, your significant other, your wife, maybe your husband, where you get into this gridlock situation and every single time is exactly the same thing. And you have the same feelings every time, maybe anger, maybe there's frustration. You simply feel that there's hopelessness in this moment. And rather than just cocooning yourselves and closing down as though there's nothing else to do, could there be a possibility for you to say, I really want to open up about this and speak to it, as opposed to like, I'm just going to keep it to myself and be a private person in this moment? Is that something that you could actually challenge yourself kindly, gently, invite yourself to step into a different way? Perhaps sharing the feelings that are coming up for you in that very moment with your partner, maybe with a dear friend, maybe with a family member that you trust, as opposed to just keeping everything inside and having this sense that there is really nothing you can do about it. Another thing is tapping into the feeling body, which is something that we discuss a lot and we talk about here in the Alive Partner community, is really powerful. I personally have not found, as in 30 years of doing coaching and talking about these things, being a physician, I have never found anything that can unleash the power of healing, the power of new possibilities, more than activating your feeling body. And if this is a completely new subject for you, I have a special tool that is not going to cost you anything. If you want it, you can take a look at it and just grab it and use it and ride home with it, because it will change your experience of how you feel and how you open up as opposed to just staying in the private. And all you have to do is just go to alivepartner.com /feel, FEEL, alivepartner.com /feel. So you can actually grab this audio tool, which will support you incredibly. And in a small amount of time, it will give you very specific things to do to tune in as to what you're feeling, so that you can start connecting those feelings with being able to have the courage and develop yourself, so that you can actually communicate that to those that really matter in your life. This is definitely a very important distinction in the Alive Partner work, the aspect of, am I really being private or am I actually hiding? And the two generate very different experiences. If you're aware that you're hiding, it's not being private, this is a great opportunity for you to actually tap into that, to resource yourself. We have a lot of tips and tools here in the community. If you're new to our channel, welcome here to Alive Partner TV. If you've liked this content, just subscribe and just click on the bell so that you can receive it every time we go live. We do it every single Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you miss us on the Wednesdays that we go live on YouTube, you can also catch me on Instagram every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time as well. I am Mario Torres Leon, founder of Alive Partner TV, and I can't wait to hear your comments and see what you have to say. Go ahead and just let me know what you think about this. Is this something you resonate with? Are you one of those people that hides and you've been labeling yourself as private? Are you somebody who's been seeking to actually get support to be able to open up and so on? In a matter of a couple more weeks, we're going to start another amazing cycle of the 28-day gratitude launchpad. So if this is something that is new to you and you'd like to learn more about it, just go to our page, alivepartner.com, go to the resources portion of the page, and you'll find there the 28-day gratitude launchpad. I am Mario Torres Leon, and I can't wait to see you next time. Leave your comments. If you've liked this content, as I always like to say, don't forget to share it with somebody else who may be in need of this, because you may actually be the catalyst, the agent of change that brings something completely different to that person's life and changes his or her life. Until next time, I hope you have an amazing week. and I can wait to welcome you next time here in A Life Partner TV. Have a great one.